Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Justice is saying that Trump is impeding their investigation and basically stopping them from indicting him because, well, there's more documents. They need more access to Mar-a-Lago. He's basically locking Merrick Garland out of Mar-a-Lago. But here, this is a Politico article. Fed seeks to fast-track appeal in Trump Mar-a-Lago documents fight. Prosecutors say Judge Cannon's timeline would curtail criminal investigation. Politico. How on earth could the judge that just sided yet again with Donald Trump curtail a criminal investigation? They already read every document that they obtained in the 15 or 16 or 17 boxes in August. So you don't have to be an expert to understand what's going on. But here, the Justice Department moved quickly to dismantle the independent review of documents seized from Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, contending that the review, ordered by U.S. District Court Judge Eileen Cannon, is impeding its criminal investigation. Then it goes on to talk about how, well, the DOJ can't indict Trump with the amount of evidence that it's obtained thus far. Well, they already read every document. They already knew that technically Trump removed the classified data. They already know that there was top secret information or classified information. What's the problem? When they say that in Georgia, in New York was a civil case, by the way. There's supposed to be this criminal. He's supposed to be the epitome of corruption and criminality in New York. Okay? They went after him with a civil case recently. Where are the crimes? It has been 7 years. You know that meme that with the lady from the Titanic? It's been 84 years. That's the same meme that's going to be people will see years from now with Democrats. He'll be finishing his second term, God willing. My God almighty. We're seeing this financial collapse, a global financial collapse, and Armageddon possibly in Europe. But at least Trump isn't tweeting, and we have mashed potato brains in the Oval Office and good morally superior Democrats presiding over all of this in the House, the Senate, and the executive. But anyway, he'll be finished with his second term, and they'll still say, and then, you know what, one day he's going to be prosecuted and go to Alcatraz. And these people, this is why you need to hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. I have a short coming out tomorrow. It's President Obama clearing Donald Trump, just like James Comey did on the short that has 17,000 views now on this channel. So, very important short about President Obama basically exonerating Trump. That's going to be out tomorrow. It's his words, not mine. The president's words, President Obama's words, not mine. And I will have a live stream today at around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific, so be here for the live stream. I'm going to try to do it earlier, and to my viewers last night, I can assure you that the internet connection will be better, a lot better, this evening or in this early evening live stream. But anyway, hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel also, and H.A. Goodman's other channel. If you want to give a super thanks below, your super thanks is greatly appreciated. I told everybody, ladies and gentlemen, since September of 2021, watch the playlist. I said our economy is going to go into it's going to tank. We're going to have a stock market crash of biblical proportions. We're seeing that right now. The UK averted not just a financial crisis and actually a catastrophe within the UK, but a global financial meltdown for the time being. I'll talk about that on the Stock Market Crash channel, but that was a Lehman Brothers moment, ladies and gentlemen, that unfortunately we'll see with hedge funds and too big to fail banks in this country. We are going to experience in the next couple of weeks the most devastating stock market crash and economic decline within a 1-2 month period that we've seen since 2008. It could be worse than 2008. And I've been telling people that for a year. Actually, a year. I have been saying that every single segment, and if you watch this channel, you know that I have. And I have the Stock Market Crash channel playlist. So just please go ahead and understand the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months are going to be absolutely a 2008 type of situation. And it's unfortunate, but what they're focusing on is indicting Trump. They can't do it. Okay, you have the Washington Post, the New York Times, MSNBC, CNN, all of Hollywood, social media algorithms. They can't indict Trump. They're willing to deal with a 2008 financial crisis. Okay, they're willing to deal with what took place in the UK, where you had pension funds because bond yields rose too quickly, facing hundreds of billions of dollars in immediate margin calls. Okay, that's what took place in the UK. And because interest rates went up too quickly, the bond prices fell too quickly, and then bond yields went up too quickly, and then there were margin calls. And I talked about margin calls in my Federalist article in October. So read that article. I predicted everything, ladies and gentlemen. And I was one of the few people in all of YouTube saying it's going to tank. The economy is going to tank. But people, they don't care about that. Poverty is now close to 15% in the United States of America in 2022. Poverty was at 10.5% under Trump. Again, morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats. Inflation is at 8 to 9%. Poverty is at 14.7, 14 to 15%. And you have interest rates going up in a shrinking economy. So you do the math on that. We are in a terrible, terrible situation as a country and in the world. You look at what's taking place in Europe. They're talking about tactical nukes. I mean, none of these things were taking place with Trump. And then you have like half the electorate's like, oh, he's a criminal. He's done so many he's committed so many crimes. Even if that were true, which it's not, because if he did 1/100th of what he was accused of, they would have already indicted him. They can't prove, just like Trump couldn't prove his claims in a court of law 2 years ago, and he went through the courts. So he went through the courts. Okay, he didn't try to overturn democracy. He went through the courts, and the courts ruled against him. Democrats can't prove their claims in a court of law. Okay, they can't prove their claims in a court of law in New York. They can't prove their claims in a court of law in Georgia. They can't prove their claims in a court of law in D.C. Their claims are he committed crimes. You don't need to investigate that. That's called public relations and politics. You don't need to investigate whether Trump committed all these crimes. It's been 7 years now since he decided to run in 2015. Okay, he didn't work with the Kremlin. He didn't work with the Kremlin. His tax returns don't show any compromising situations or business deals. Stormy, Avenatti's now in prison. I mean, you look at all these things, like they went up. They're using the government to go after the direct political rival. They're lying through their teeth, as always. They have Democrats investigating Trump. They're investigating for the opposite reasons they investigated Hillary or Hunter. Okay, and I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. We need to relive that. But for a number of reasons, and I explain it all the time on this channel. But I'd obviously vote for Trump a million times over. But here's the thing. When they investigate Trump, it is a public relations and political stunt to say, one of these days, he's a criminal, let's accuse him. And then when he gets away with it, it'll be all Teflon Don. Oh my God. They investigate Hunter because he actually did commit crimes. Bribery and graft are like serious felonies. And that's what takes down governments, including inflation, which, by the way, Biden directly caused. We didn't have the inflation. We didn't have any of these problems going in. We didn't have that invasion in Europe. We didn't have the inflation. We didn't have the high poverty rate. We didn't have all of these problems. So how Democrats can look in the mirror and say, oh, it's not Biden's fault, it's not Democrats' fault. No, this is all... They were taking a victory lap in 2021 because the $10 trillion pumped into the economy. They said, oh, look at this. We're rebounding. We're back. And you could see the writing on the wall. Inflation, they ignored. I mean, you could see the writing on the wall, ladies and gentlemen. They ignored inflation. They ignored everything. They went to battle with oil and gas companies, and the oil and gas associations sued them sued Biden's administration. Now Biden's administration is being sued by environmental groups because he flooded strategic petroleum reserves. And then you have the Senate. Trump Republicans will take over the House. Sorry, the midterms. Trump Republicans will take over the House. How Democrats are even competitive in the Senate is unbelievable to me. That shows the power of, like, media, the Washington Post, the New York Times, Jimmy Kimmel, state prosecutors and federal prosecutors going after Trump. Late night, you have everybody from late night talk show, Stephen Colbert, devoting their lives to going after Trump, even though he didn't commit a crime. Had he committed a crime, he wouldn't have needed to investigate all of this. He was a former president. He was a former president with the power to declassify, and there is no precedent on indicting a president because he had a back and forth with the National Archives. Okay? In the short that's coming up tomorrow, President Obama says himself there's classified and then there's classified. I mean, there's classified and then there's classified. Because they were asking President Obama in 2016, well, Clinton had top secret intelligence. And he was basically saying, oh, he actually said, well, you know, if you'd see it, you'd know it wasn't that big of a deal. And so they say one thing when it's their political side, and they say another with Trump. The thing with Trump is that people believe the interpretation or the accusations or the evaluation of others pertaining to Trump. They don't really look at Trump. Most of the people who despise Trump, and this is the truth, have never really heard him speak. They never really heard an entire speech. They heard snippets, maybe. They never listened to an entire interview, whether it's with Hannity or Tucker Carlson or whatever. They never heard, like, people who despise Trump really have never, like, they don't understand where he's coming from, why he says the things he does, and everything is sensationalized with him. Okay, it was Trump who sided with Asian Americans when Harvard discriminated against Asian Americans. Just yesterday, Trump went after Mitch McConnell and his wife. Newsweek and Politico and others ran stories on Mitch McConnell's wife and business deals with another country. The Washington Post and others say, oh my God, Trump and his prejudice statement against Mitch McConnell and his wife. It was about the business deals, but they only see one thing, Democrats, in media. They don't see the reality of the situation. So when Biden actually does make a prejudice and bigoted statement, you are not who you are if you don't vote for me, to Charlemagne the God. Immediately they go to cover up Biden's gaffe. Okay, with Trump, it's just this apoplectic, hysterical obsession with the man, sensationalizing and twisting everything he's ever said, taking snippets of what he says and like attributing, sinister motivations to the snippets or to the distorted quotes, and accusing him of everything under the sun. So the casual liberal Democrat says, oh my God, this person it's unbelievable how he's not been indicted. They've turned Democrats into the average Republican after 30 years of the Clintons. They said, how can we turn Trump into, the embodiment of suspicion? Or how can we get millions upon millions of people to be suspicious of him at all times? Which is how Republicans think of the Clintons. But the Clintons actually did either break laws or bend laws. Well, definitely with the private server, with top secret intel siphoned out of the U.S. government. Not a president, and didn't have the ability to declassify. And the Supreme Court didn't uphold any ability for presidents to secretaries of state to declassify anything. Trump had the ability to declassify. They can't prove that he didn't declassify. He was president of the United States. They can't indict him saying, you prove you declassified, because he was a president, and there's no precedent of a president being indicted for a National Archives dispute. In fact, the precedent is set. The precedent is that government official like Clinton, who did infinitely worse than Trump, isn't indicted. But see, again, this is public relations. This was the bump that helped Democrats in August. Okay, this is Democrats going after the direct political rivals. They can't indict Trump with the current evidence. They can't. And it's gonna be very interesting. The House will go Republican. I think the Senate will go Republican too, but you have to understand, it could be weeks before we find out what takes place. So I do think, ladies and gentlemen, that the next 3-4 weeks of the next what? Yeah, we're looking at about 1 month, like a couple days over 1 month. The economy is going to tank, and we're going to have an '08 moment, and I just don't see how any political party could keep the Senate after presiding over this. But give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. Be here for the live stream today. I'll have an earlier live stream today, probably around 4 or 5 p.m. Pacific. And thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. And watch H.A. Goodman's other channel. Subscribe there. And the Stock Market Crash channel. Subscribe there. And if you want to give a super thanks to this segment, your super thanks would be greatly appreciated.